In today's Money Watch, we're taking a closer look at President Trump's so-called One Big Beautiful Bill Act, now signed into law. And so we're asking who's going to win and who's going to come out losing. And who better to break it down than our senior CBS News business analyst, Jill Schlesinger. No one better. Jill, great to see you.
Good to be with you.
All right, so walk us through the top lines here of what we should know.
So the biggest part of this bill is the extension of the first Trump administration's tax reform. And those tax cuts from 2017 were set to expire at the end of this year. Those tax cuts are now all extended. But that's an expensive thing. So in order to pay for a big chunk of that, there are big cuts to Medicaid and the SNAP, or the former food stamp plan. And that's partially how the bill is paid for. To be clear, the bill is not paid for. It will add a bunch of money to the debt and deficit over time. But I think that that's kind of the overarching piece of it.
One of the intriguing ways in which more money is being spent is this notion of $1,000 kind of baby. What is it? If a baby is born over the next 3 years, they get $1,000 in an account, courtesy of the U.S. government, and then it grows.
Yeah, so this is a twist on something that has been put into place in pilot programs in certain states called baby bonds. So we put some money into an account. They're calling them Trump accounts. And in this case, it's $1,000 per child who is born between 2025 through 2028. So if you're doing your family planning, now would be the time to figure this out. Now, the $1,000 goes into a low-cost index fund. The money grows until the kid gets to be age 18. At age 18, half of the money can be spent on maybe a first-time home, a certificate program, school. The other half can be taken out at age 25. Importantly, two important facts here. This is not a paid-for piece of the bill, meaning that it costs, $17–18 billion. We're sort of coming out of thin air. The other part of it is if you are saving for education, it is actually better. I know you take the $1,000, but instead of putting more money into this, I would use a 529 plan because this does not have the good tax treatment that the 529 plan will have.
A lot of CEOs coming out in favor, by the way, of those baby bonds. It's interesting to see who's raising their hand in support.
Yeah.
Shockingly, they come from investment management firms who would profit from those funds. But okay, just saying.
To the CEO of Uber, also in favor of this.
Yeah.
But I want to know, middle-income earners. What do middle-income earners get out of this act?
It's kind of random. It's the type of person you are. So if you get tip income, some of your tip income, you'll take a deduction for that. If you work overtime, you'll get a deduction for that. If you are a homeowner in a high-tax state, the SALT, the state and local tax deduction, goes from $10,000 to $40,000. If you borrow money for a car, you get to up to $10,000 of interest. You can write it off. If you've got children or dependents, you've got some money coming out over the age of 65, you get a $6,000 bonus for the next few years. But most of these are temporary. Temporary, meaning from 2025 to 2028. That means that another administration is going to have to decide whether or not to make some of these issues, some of these features permanent, or whether we come up with different ways to pay for them. There are so many details. It's almost 900 pages in this bill.
Massive.
And we'll talk more about this as we get to tax planning time, because that's when you're really going to see the impact of this bill. That when you have tax filing time in April, we're going to be pounding on the details because people need to know what they're entitled to and what is not going to be on their plate this year.
If it's in the law, you might as well go out and get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Important details.
Jill Schlesinger will help people get it.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Always do.
Appreciate it.